Are you moving your storage-heavy VMware workloads to AWS and finding it difficult to control your costs? Do you find yourself having to purchase unnecessary expensive compute instances when scaling your data storage? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, Amazon FSx for NetApp ONTAP has the solution for you. Decouple storage from compute and add additional storage capacity without having to buy unnecessary compute power, saving up to 50% on your VMware workload costs. And enjoy FSx for ONTAP's built-in enterprise-grade storage efficiency features for even more cost savings. And with Workload Factory for AWS, NetApp's workload optimization and automation service, you'll also be able to accelerate and streamline your migration to the cloud. In this FSx for ONTAP workloads video, we'll show you how FSx for ONTAP decouples storage from compute in VMware workloads, allowing you to scale it without purchasing unnecessary compute and significantly saving on costs in the process. Let's get started. So, you need to migrate your storage-heavy VMware workloads to AWS. Like this multinational banking and financial institution with operations across Europe. They were planning a large-scale migration to AWS to start modernizing their 16,000 VMware VMs on a tight schedule of 2 years to complete the migration. They decided to migrate to Amazon Elastic VMware Service, or EVS, as it offers an easy path to the cloud for VMware workloads. Initially, they assessed the projected costs using only vSAN as the storage for their workload on Amazon EVS, but quickly realized that their large storage data requirement would force them to add unnecessary compute nodes just to be able to support their growing data estate. By adding FSx for ONTAP to their VM data store, they could decouple storage from compute, allowing them to add the storage they needed without purchasing unnecessary compute instances. This change translates into an estimated 50% cost savings, resulting also from FSx for ONTAP's built-in storage efficiencies. Want to understand how FSx for ONTAP did all this and what it can do for you? Let's see a technical explanation and hands-on demo that do just that. Amazon FSx for NetApp ONTAP is an AWS fully managed storage service powered by NetApp's technology. It provides intelligent storage for business-critical workloads through a comprehensive and flexible set of storage features for accessibility, resilience and protection, data security, price performance, and data mobility. Let's look at how FSx for ONTAP allows you to scale storage independently from compute when growing your VMware workload on Amazon EVS. In Amazon EVS environments, when using vSAN hyperconverged infrastructure, compute and storage are tightly coupled. This means that users purchase bare metal instances with a set amount of storage and compute. When storage needs to be scaled beyond the host capacity, additional instances need to be purchased, paying not only for the storage but for the compute as well, even though it is not needed. For example, if you have the minimal 4 EC2 i4i metal nodes needed to run on Amazon EVS, each node will have 30 terabytes of storage and 64 physical cores. Altogether, 120 terabytes of storage and 256 cores. Now, if we were satisfied with the compute power, but want to add an additional 60 terabytes of storage, we would need to add 2 more nodes, purchasing an additional unnecessary 128 cores. This results in extra core overhead and can impact licensing costs as well. FSx for ONTAP solves this challenge. Instead of relying solely on vSAN, once your CPU requirements are met with the i4i metal nodes, any additional storage needed can be added with FSx for ONTAP as an external data store with no need for additional ESXi nodes. This means you are paying only for the storage and can save up to 50% on storage-heavy workloads. That's the power of decoupling. And FSx for ONTAP is vSphere certified, This means it meets vSphere's shared storage requirements, so your VM decays, VMX, and snapshots can reside on it, and all VM-level operations like vMotion, HA, and VRS continue to function seamlessly. Now that we've understood how FSx for ONTAP decouples storage from compute, let's see a hands-on demo on how this impacts cost. In this demonstration, we will show the cost reduction impact of adding FSx for ONTAP to Amazon EVS on workloads that require incremental storage. In this example, we have a mid-sized enterprise that has a VMware workload of 400 VMs that requires 150 terabytes of storage. We will run two scenarios. One, where we scale storage by adding I4I metal EC2 instances to get to the desired storage. And the second scenario, adding FSx for ONTAP as an external data store to provide the storage requirement. Let's start by going to the AWS pricing calculator to create the estimate for the first scenario. First, let's add the EC2 instances. We select dedicated instances, and for this example, we will assume the EC2 effective storage is 70%. So to cover the 150 terabytes, we need to add 8 instances. We select I4I metal and choose 3-year standard plan. Next, we add Amazon EVS. We add 8 instances and choose Bring Your Own License option. Now we add the VPC. We need to add 2 server endpoints per Amazon EVS environment. This is the cost per year on a 3-year contract. Now, let's run the second scenario where we use FSx for ONTAP to add the incremental storage requirement. We go about in the same way as before. Let's start with the EC2 only, and this time we just add 4 EC2 instances instead of 8 that we added previously. We add the EVS environment with 4 instances and add the VPC with 2 server endpoints. And now we go and add FSx for ONTAP. Let's assume we need only single AZ. We add 104 terabytes of storage. We assume 100% capacity on SSD and have a conservative 33% storage efficiency estimation coming from compression and deduplication. Now, let's view our summary. Here is the cost per year using FSx for ONTAP as the external data store. Let's compare this with the first scenario. For this example, the VMware workload needed 150 terabytes of storage. We see annual savings of almost $130,000, adding up to $389,000 in 3 years. Now that we've seen how FSx for ONTAP can reduce costs by decoupling storage from compute, let's look at how we can accelerate the migration to Amazon EVS with NetApp's Workload Factory. On the VMware workload tile, we drop down and select Elastic VMware Service and start the planning process. First, we specify the VMware environment requirements. Select the region where we want to deploy our migrated workloads. Next, we define the VM capacity. This is the amount of storage needed in terabytes. Now, we select the performance requirement for our VMs. Now, we need to indicate the throughput for our Amazon EVS data stores. we will go with the default of 1024. Next, Migration Advisor recommends the number of data stores we will need based on our workload and best practices. By clicking on Review Plan, we get our high-level migration plan with the required capacity, headroom, and snapshot buffer space, as well as the amount of storage to be allocated for FSx for ONTAP, the number of file systems, data stores, and estimated monthly cost and savings in terms of capacity. We can also look at the cost breakdown by expanding on the configuration cost analysis. Under Volume Configuration, we see the data stores with corresponding capacity allocation. Now, we are ready to provision. Make sure you have your AWS credentials and then assign a file system name. Next, select region and availability zone. Add the ONTAP administrator username and password. On the right-hand side is the code box, where you find the CloudFormation template that can be used to automate the deployment of your FSx for ONTAP inside the Amazon EBS environment. You can either download the template, copy it, or redirect to Amazon CloudFormation and automate the deployment. You will be routed to your AWS account, assign a stack name, and go to the capabilities section. Tick the acknowledgement boxes and then click to create stack. Now, we just sit back and wait while CloudFormation deploys the configuration. In this Inside Out video, we explored how Amazon EBS and FSx for ONTAP work together to decouple storage from compute and reduce TCO by up to 50%. FSx for ONTAP is an Amazon fully managed service built on NetApp's ONTAP's popular enterprise storage technology. It is feature-rich with advanced storage management capabilities, and with Migration Advisor, it's even easier to plan and deploy your VMs. Check out our other FSx for ONTAP workloads Inside Out video series to get an inside-out view of the many things FSx for ONTAP has to offer to your workloads. See you there!